Picture this: Central Auckland in June 2025. A large protest moves down Queen Street, led by demonstrators carrying banners promoting Christianity as central to New Zealand's identity. During the march, participants publicly damaged and discarded flags associated with several religions and international causes, while performing haka-style chants and movements. The footage spread rapidly online and shocked many New Zealanders, highlighting how heated the immigration debate had become. New Zealand has always been known as one of the most welcoming, multicultural nations on Earth. But something has changed, drastically and rapidly. In 2024 and 2025, we're seeing a dramatic shift from policy changes that shocked experts to street protests targeting religious communities. But here's what nobody's talking about. Locals are drowning. Housing is unaffordable. Seeing a doctor takes months. Grocery bills have exploded. And many New Zealanders feel their country is slipping away. So what's really going on? Let's break down the numbers, the pain, and the protests. Let's trace back. During COVID-19, New Zealand sealed its borders with some of the strictest lockdowns in the world. For 2 years, barely anyone could get in. The labor market dried up, businesses struggled, the economy was screaming for workers. So when borders reopened in 2022, the government threw doors wide open. They introduced the Accredited Employer Work Visa program to get workers in fast. And it worked. Too well. In 2022, New Zealand received 154,000 new immigrants on a long-term or permanent basis, a 340% increase from 2021. For a country of 5 million people, that's adding the equivalent of Hamilton, New Zealand's fourth largest city, in 1 year. By 2023, the numbers hit 173,000 non-New Zealand citizens migrating to the country, near record levels. And at the exact same time, New Zealand citizens were leaving in droves, mostly heading to Australia where wages were higher and housing more affordable. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon's immigration minister, Erica Stanford, finally admitted in April 2024, "We have unsustainable net migration levels." But by 2025, the situation had completely reversed. Annual net migration plummeted to just 10,600 inches August 2025, down from 51,600 the year before. The crackdown was working, but it revealed an even bigger problem. While immigration numbers soared, ordinary New Zealanders watched their quality of life collapse. Let me give you the numbers that really matter. Housing became a nightmare. Average house prices in Auckland's North Shore district hit $1,130,000 New Zealand dollars. Average weekly rent payments jumped from $427 to $465.50, a 9% increase in just 1 year. And here's the killer. 28.4% of renters were spending more than 40% of their income just on rent. That's not living, that's surviving. For single people in major cities, the cost of living hit $4,284 per month. Families of 4 needed $6,372 per month just to get by. And 55.2% of renters reported their income was just enough or not enough to meet daily needs. Healthcare became a waiting game. Patients were waiting up to 4 weeks just for a routine GP appointment. In Auckland, 40% of GP clinics closed their books to new patients. In Wellington, half were full. In Christchurch, 70% were either closed or restricting enrollment. By September 2023, more than 3,900 patients had been waiting over a year for treatment. Why? Because New Zealand depends heavily on foreign-born doctors, and that pipeline dried up. By 2030, a third of the current GP workforce will have retired. The system was breaking. Groceries hit families hard. A 500-gram block of butter rose 50% to $6.66. Overall, grocery prices rose 2.7% in 2024. While that sounds modest, it came after years of increases. Food inflation had peaked at 12.5%. Energy costs spiked. On the 1st of April 2025, most New Zealanders' electricity bills increased to cover aging infrastructure. Much of the electricity network is over 60 years old. In August 2024, wholesale electricity prices went berserk, hitting $878 per megawatt hour. The math was simple. More people, same infrastructure, skyrocketing costs, and locals were paying the price. In April 2024, Immigration Minister Erica Stanford made a bombshell announcement. The country faced unsustainable net migration, and everything was changing. And here's the shocking part. They openly admitted they needed to make New Zealand less attractive for certain workers. Those were their actual words, not more selective. Less attractive, period. The accredited employer work visa got slashed. Maximum visa duration for lower skilled roles dropped from 5 years to 3 years, a 40% cut. New English language requirements kicked in. Even low-skilled workers needed IELTS 4 proficiency. Employers now had to prove greater efforts to hire New Zealanders first. They had to connect with work and income and explain why local applicants weren't suitable. Visa fees increased across the board. The government stopped subsidizing the immigration system with taxpayer money. The stated goal? Prioritize skilled workers, protect New Zealanders' jobs, and ease the strain on healthcare, housing, and education. But there was another factor. Growing resentment among locals who felt their country was changing too fast. Their jobs were disappearing, and their culture was being diluted. And that resentment was about to explode. On the 21st of June 2025, Christian leader Brian Tamaki led what became one of the most inflammatory protests in New Zealand's modern history. His faith, flag, and family march shocked the nation. Protesters marched down Queen Street with that banner, NZ's official religion, Christianity. They chanted, "No assimilation, no immigration." Then they began tearing and burning flags. After each flag was torn, Tamaki's followers, many wearing traditional Māori clothing, performed a haka. Not the haka of respect New Zealand is famous for, but what critics called a weaponized, hate-filled distortion of Māori culture. Acting Prime Minister David Seymour condemned the protest, calling Tamaki's attitudes un-Kiwi. Here's what makes this complex. Tamaki represents a fringe view, but the concerns about immigration are widespread and legitimate. Remember those numbers? When you add over 130,000 migrants to a 5.3 million population in 1 year, that's like the United States adding 8 million immigrants annually, far beyond current levels. The strain was real. Housing prices soared because construction couldn't keep up. Healthcare wait times increased because there weren't enough doctors. Schools became overcrowded. Many New Zealanders genuinely felt they couldn't compete for jobs. The coalition government recognized this. Their reforms aimed for balance, continue skilled immigration to fill labor shortages, but at a manageable pace with stronger worker protections. They're introducing seasonal visa pathways for industries like viticulture, creating a business investor work visa requiring investments of 1 to 2 million New Zealand dollars, making the system more flexible. These aren't actions of a government shutting down immigration. They're trying to manage it sustainably. But extremists like Tamaki hijacked the conversation. They took legitimate debates about capacity and infrastructure and turned them into attacks on religious communities. They desecrated sacred symbols. They weaponized cultural traditions. New Zealand stands at a crossroads. Net migration has already dropped significantly from 133,300 to 44,900 inches 1 year. The new visa restrictions are working. But the social damage from flag-burning protests may be harder to repair. The government is walking a tightrope. They need to address real concerns about housing, healthcare, and jobs. But they also need to protect the multicultural fabric that makes New Zealand special. Community leaders are calling for stronger hate speech laws and clear consequences for those who desecrate religious symbols. The question is whether politicians have the courage to act without alienating voters with genuine concerns. New Zealand isn't declaring war on immigration, but it is going through a painful reckoning. After years of record immigration that strained infrastructure, the pendulum has swung back. Stricter controls make sense from a policy perspective. But extremist groups have exploited the situation, turning legitimate debates into attacks on religious minorities. The events of 2024 and 2025 represent a warning. New Zealand can have honest conversations about immigration policy based on capacity and infrastructure, but it cannot allow those conversations to become justifications for hate. The coming months will reveal which path New Zealand chooses. Will it remain the inclusive, multicultural nation that welcomes people from around the world? Or will it give in to the loudest voices demanding exclusion? The world is watching, and so are the millions of immigrants who call New Zealand home, who pay taxes, contribute to communities, and help build the nation's future. They came seeking a better life. They deserve better than to be treated as invaders.